How is this going to work out? How's this going to play out? What are we about to witness yet again over in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Fight Night host Adam Catterall joins us live. Adam, good afternoon to you, mate. What's your thought leading up to this?
Afternoon, gentlemen. What's my thought leading up to this? I suppose if you're a traditionalist, you look at this and you think this is absolutely bonkers. What is going on? That a guy that has only ever had one boxing match in his life lost it. He's now fighting the former Olympic gold medalist and two-time unified heavyweight world champion. But I take a lot of noise from the casual audience, like on the school run in the morning, the mums and dads stopping me and having a conversation with me about certain things. When I take my boy to his football at the weekend, people stopping me, wanting to talk about it. Everybody seems to be talking about this fight on Friday night. It really has captured the imagination of the mainstream rather than the hardcore, definitely the mainstream.
Wow. I mean, has it captured the imagination more, Adam, than Fury and Ngannou did?
I think so. And that is obviously off the back of the narrative of what happened in that particular fight. We've all seen the images of Tyson Fury being on the seat of his pants off the back of a guy making his professional boxing debut. I think a lot of people going into that, and I'm absolutely one of them, thought the fight was an absolute circus. Fury will turn up, he'll school him, and then we'll move on towards the undisputed fight. That wasn't to be the case. And I think Ngannou, even though he didn't win on the cards, he comes out with a lot of stock. And that's why we end in this situation on Friday. I think he's kind of here by default as well, by the way, because I think this was supposed to be Wilder and AJ, but Wilder dropped the ball on December the 23rd, and therefore Turki Al-Sheikh, the man that is making it happen in Saudi Arabia, he's kind of reacting to as things go along, and he's put Francis Ngannou in this situation.
Simon, are you in the school of thought that Joshua, when you look at him, when you see where he's at this point in his career, could give a boxing lesson to Ngannou and win it comfortably?
Should. Not could. Should. Ultimately everyone knows that Ngannou can fight. There's no dispute the fact that he can fight. But you're talking about going in with somebody that should be able to have the skill set to do a number on him, whether he can knock him out because the fella can take big shots, and then we've seen him and he's a physical specimen, and we saw him against the very poor version of Tyson Fury. My attitude towards it all is I can't help it, maybe it's me being mean-spirited, I do feel it's an embarrassment for the heavyweight division in terms of you've got the two, arguably, Usyk to one side for the second, the greatest heavyweights around, that are fighting a novice that's fought one fight in a boxing ring and has been out for 18 months and has had a knee rebuild, and all that doesn't get priced into the equation. I understand why it's happening. I understand there's a possibility that Anthony Joshua treads the path that Tyson Fury's trod and treads it better, bashes up Wallin, whereas Fury had all kinds of problems with him, deals with Ngannou, doesn't get into the same circumstances that Fury got into. But for me, I'm not trying to be too pompous about it. I do look at it and go, how have we got to a position that the WBC heavyweight champion of the world goes in after not fighting anyone of any significance for a significant period of time? The WBC tell us they can't put an opponent up, so Fury fights Ngannou, and now we've got Anthony Joshua doing the same thing. So whilst it has intrigue, it's a bit like watching Doctor Who when you're a kid. You find yourself peering over the top of the sofa, not really enjoying it, but looking at the horrors of it.
I think a lot of people, to be honest, will think the way Simon thinks about it, Adam. I kind of reluctant, well, I watch, but I'm not really sure why.
I think the boxing hardcore absolutely agree with Simon, because they're coming at it from a sporting angle. What's the sporting merit of all of this? And sadly, boxing is a business, and that's what people are doing. Like exactly what Simon just said regarding the WBC, allowing Tyson Fury to go a length of time without defending his belt and having a non-title fight last year against Francis Ngannou was an absolute farce. It was. But they did it because they're following the money. Where's the money? The money's in Saudi Arabia. They get a certain percentage when Tyson Fury fights because he pays his sanctioning fees, and they want to be involved in the biggest fights. The biggest fight, hopefully, is coming in May when he fights Alexander Usyk. Everything will be on the line there, and all those sanctioning bodies will be taking their 3%. So that's why we're ending up in this situation. People are following the door. And what Simon's just said there is, again, right, because... and I'm on record referring to certain fights as warm lager, for a long period of time, the heavyweight division was dead. Nobody's watching it. Nobody's paying attention to it. If you look at pay-per-view numbers, they're significantly dropping, especially in America. People in America, where it was once the home of the heavyweight boxing extravaganza, they're not watching it anymore. So you've got to try and reinvigorate fan interest. And what has happened from Saudi Arabia's point of view is that they're going for events. They're going for these big circus showcases, I suppose. And hopefully, off the back of that, the audience come, they show interest. And then when we get to May, we'll get a proper fight on our hands.
Adam, can I ask, what happens if Ngannou knocks Joshua out to Joshua? And what happens with Ngannou? Does he then fight the winner of Fury-Usyk?
Yeah. To the second part of that question. Turki Al-Sheikh, the man that is making all this happen, has said, listen, the winner of this will be fighting the winner of the undisputed fight in May. So if Francis Ngannou beats Anthony Joshua in any way, shape or form on Friday, he will be fighting the winner of Fury versus Usyk.
Is there not any mandatory challenges then that go above Ngannou?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And this is probably where Simon's at regarding the farce of it from a boxing point of view. I think boxing does need a shake-up. It does need to reinvigorate itself, and it does need to reappeal itself to a new audience. And sometimes mandatories and various things like that aren't necessarily, even though from a sporting merit point of view, they are the right thing to do, they aren't necessarily the thing that captures the imagination of the fan. What the fan wants are the best people fighting the best people. What we want, ideally, is Anthony Joshua to come through on Friday. Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk, doesn't really matter on that case to win that fight, and Anthony Joshua to fight the winner of it, because then you will be getting a best versus best scenario at some point later on this year.
You know yourself, when it comes to MMA, you know the individuals in there. Ngannou, again, for those who don't know and need reminding, what's he got that might make you think, yeah, he can do this on Friday?
He's a special individual, and this is so hard, because when you speak to people that know boxing about crossover fights like this, they are right when they use logic, and they said nobody should be able to walk in off the street and beat an Olympic gold medalist, two-time unified heavyweight world champion. Shouldn't happen. But Francis Ngannou is an anomaly. He's a freak of nature. This guy, everybody knows his story from where he's been in the sand mines to where he got to in the UFC. But it's the story within the UFC that's even more interesting, because his first attempt to become a world champion was a disaster. He was rubbish. He's gone away. He's reinvented himself. He's developed his skills. And over a period of 8 years, remember, this guy only put gloves on at 26 years of age. It's mental what he's done.
Yeah.
And then he got to the top by beating the very best, statistically, UFC heavyweight champion. He's gone up, as Simon says, he's had, obviously, knee reconstruction surgery on his knee. But in that period of time, he hasn't done any MMA. He's concentrated solely on boxing. He's gone in with Tyson Fury. Many people think he beat Tyson Fury on that night. And now he faces Anthony Joshua. He is a freak in nature, this guy. What he showed us in the Fury fight is that he's got decent boxing fundamentals. He's got a good jab. He punches when you punch, so his timing's very good. He held his form quite well, and he boxed southpaw. He hasn't done that in MMA. Nobody saw that coming. Anybody that was backing him in the first fight thought that he had a puncher's chance. But what he showed is that he can actually box a bit. It's going to be really interesting on Friday night to see what approach he uses, whether he uses the same approach that he used at in the Tyson Fury fight, or he reverts back to what he used to do in MMA and tries to mow Anthony Joshua, because that's the big thing, isn't it? The question over Joshua is, can he handle it when someone puts it on him? Well, Ngannou can put it on you. Trust me. The guy is a big old unit. And if he treats this as a 3-4 round fight, it could be carnage on Friday.
Adam, terrific. Thank you very much indeed. Adam Catterall, Fight Night host. So tune in Friday from 9, Knockout Chaos. Josh Warrington will be around for that. It's Joshua, of course, against Ngannou from Saudi Arabia. You can join Adam, Spencer, Oliver and Josh for the live watch along on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, or listen live via DAB, your Alexa or talkSPORT app.